Today, I'm going to actually do a quick audit and strategy recommendation of my own company. That is Digital Detroit. Feel free to check out the website or social media. It's not the biggest company in the world, but it is somewhat similar to some of the businesses that you all are studying, in that it is a small business rooted in digital marketing, actually, and using not every resource available, not a huge budget, not a lot of advertising, well, not any advertising recently. But there is plenty of room for improvement. If you hear any banging in the background, that is because there's some guys working on my deck in the backyard. So you might hear some of those. That is coming from me here. So I'm going to go ahead and start my timer, because this is a 15-minute presentation at the max, and just so you can try it out, just so that you can see kind of how the timing should go. So here we go. All right, so this is the digital audit and strategy recommendations for Digital Detroit. And we're going to start with a quick company overview. So this is a digital marketing company, several different niche audiences. There's 4 different ones, as you can see on the website. There's entry-level digital marketers, executives, entrepreneurs, and students. Now, the idea behind this is that they provide training for entry-level digital marketers, kind of to help upskill the business, and it's customizable, and they work with the business, but also with the trainee to fill in the gaps in their resume or kind of the job description. There's also social media training for executives. This is the most lucrative area, but also it's the hardest to come by. There's data that shows that most CEOs are not on social media, but that it is a great place where CEOs can help mitigate some of the negative reputation damage that could happen to brands, and that they can do the most good, I should say, to improve a brand's reputation, because it is a personal brand and it's not necessarily a company's brand as, in general. Now, the downside, of course, to that is that they can also have a negative effect. Some people would say Elon Musk is a positive influence. Some would say it's a negative. I think it goes back and forth, but he does have a lot more followers than Tesla does. And generally, when you think of Tesla, you don't think of the product, you think of him. Now, there's also strategy development for entrepreneurs. This is more digital marketing strategy, kind of like what this course has all been about, but a little bit more put into practice. And then there's also student support, where I know this area is still getting fleshed out. And right now, the idea behind this section of the business is that students don't have much in the way of disposable income. They don't have a professional development budget. If anything, it is a way to help students understand what the brand is, what digital marketing is, and to help them get into the workforce, with the idea that down the line, they could come back and become actual paying customers. But really, if we're looking at the number one focus here, it's the entry-level digital marketing training. And the idea there with the audience is that, there's that audience is comprised of both entry-level digital marketers, but also marketing directors, the people who would actually be seeking out this professional development, because really the benefit is for them. It's for the boss. It's for the marketing director, the marketing manager, the person who would have to spend a lot of time onboarding and training these people, not just with the company's specific systems and programs, but also to help fill in those gaps, because it's pretty hard to find an entry-level digital marketer who's really proficient and experienced in every single facet of digital marketing. Now, if you look at the company's goals, first off, we look at 3 from the digital marketing side. 1, we want to make social media a lead generating channel. Right now, it's really not. It's more of a supporting service, and it's a good way for people who are curious about what the brand is to learn more about it. But also, right now, they are trying to use email marketing as a loyalty generator. I think the idea behind that was, when we started the business about 5 years ago, the idea was that, yes, we want email marketing to be part of the lead generation and lead nurturing process, but that has proven to be a little bit more difficult. And then we've seen a lot of people that jump right from reading a post all the way to filling out a lead form. And then we start the conversation back and forth. And rather than sending them the regular monthly or biweekly emails, people are just ready to jump in and become a client. Then the third side we have is publishing content for brand awareness purposes. So that's blogging, visuals, anything else. So those are the three goals. Right now, the funnel you could look at is like this. People find content via organic search, then they'll sign up for the email list. They'll follow Digital Detroit or on LinkedIn or Pinterest. Those are the two social networks that the company's on. And then when they're ready to take action, they'll fill out the lead form or download it. There was an old white paper from last year. This quarter, it was taken down. But that's the idea. The right now, the kind of the path. It's a little convoluted, which we'll get into a little bit. Right now, if you look at the web, traffic breakdown, organic search is pretty strong. Direct, I think that's largely just people kind of checking back, people that are already familiar with the brand. Then you have very small percentages for social media and email. That's pretty standard, especially with small businesses these days. You're seeing almost 2 pages per visit, which is pretty good. And 2 minutes and 24 seconds are average time on site. So you're getting people that will read, you'll see people that will read a full article and then go to another page and then usually leave from there, which again is pretty standard. And 84% of all visitors were new, which is pretty also standard, largely thanks to that organic search traffic. Now you're looking at a page load time of about 2.5 seconds. Pretty standard. I'd like to get that down a little bit. I think it's because banner images are pretty large, but we've tried to get that down. We have gotten it down from 5 seconds. That's where it was this time last year. A lot of that just happens from compressing images. 15 new email subscribers, which is actually pretty standard. Each quarter over the last year, we've seen between 13 and 18. And so 15 is pretty average, I'd say. But of those, in that 15 email subscribers, we also got 4 leads, which was pretty cool. Again, those didn't come as a result of the email subscribers. We think those came completely independent of it. Those 4 out of those 4 leads, 2 turned into actual customers. Total order value of what? $7,500. So a pretty good value there in terms of lead generating, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Only 2 blog posts, but all of the leads and email subscribers came from those. So pretty powerful stuff. On social media, we had 25 new followers, over 14 posts, 2% click-through rate, kind of low, 4% engagement rate, also a little low. With over 500 followers on the page, we wish it was a little bit higher. Pinterest, no new pins were created, but there were 25 saves and 45 clicks to the website. A couple of infographics that we've posted over the years have started gaining some traction. We can't tell. We don't have the pixel properly installed, so we can't tell if any of those actually turned into leads. Email newsletter, right now it's a monthly basis. Really high open rate, low click-through rate, pretty average. But again, also of these subscribers, both unsubscribes from this quarter were from these new signups. So I think that might have been people that didn't realize what they were getting themselves into. So right now you have your funnel: awareness, interest, desire, action. And going back to what we looked at before, this is our funnel, and it's a little backwards, not backwards, but I would say this guy right here, the email list, that doesn't really work there. Normally you would put that there, but based on what Digital Detroit's been doing, that isn't where it has or it has been or should be. Honestly, this actually should probably move to the end, where the order that we would recommend is find the content on organic or search, then follow on social media, then fill out the form or white paper or do something else, because that'll show the real desire and essentially the action. There's a couple of inefficiencies that we wanted to quickly point out. One, blogging, the more you blog, the more leads you're going to get based on what we've seen over the last quarter. So how do we put more resources into blogging and publishing new content? Because also email marketing. Email marketing has proven to not actually lead to any new business. If we want it to lead to loyalty generating recurring business, that's great, but that's not what it's doing right now. And then we have LinkedIn. again, not leading to business. We don't think it's actually driving people through right now, and it's a pretty low reach. It might be better just to use the CEO, Nick, me, personal page, because that's reaching a lot more people on average than any company pages. And so that leads us to a couple new ideas. One, we have YouTube, recommending video walkthroughs, videos like this, and adding that into the funnel, putting that somewhere, maybe where that email was before. That could be an interest generator, because if you've learned about the company through organic search, you then turn around, maybe you watch a video, maybe you then subscribe on social media. That's that extra touch point, because then you can also embed them. They provide extra resources. General, it's a good content strategy. And then you look at something with another idea, which is something like research. And a new idea would be coming up with a white paper or something research heavy, where people can see new data for the first time and how it would be applied to what they're doing. This could be something that is specifically for CEOs. It could be something for entry-level marketers. It could be a lot of different things, to be perfectly honest, a lot of different options. And then finally, we could look at Google Ads. That's another idea. Not a huge, we don't think it's a huge thing that you need to do. It's not something, you don't have to dedicate tens of thousands of dollars a month, but you could try with a modest budget, try to drive traffic. We think that organic search has done so well in terms of getting new business pretty quickly that you could jumpstart that with some paid search. Now, knowing all of this, what are the KPIs? How do we know that, how are we going to measure our success moving forward? A couple different options. One, social media. We're going to go back to what we looked at, the digital marketing goals from before. How do we make social media a lead generating channel? We look at click-through rate, engagement rate, traffic to the website from social media, and leads generated from social media, which will require the installation of the pixel, which we haven't done. Two, how do we use email marketing to drive customer loyalty? Again, we want to look at click-through rate, new subscribers that are also current or former customers, and then what is the returning business? We want to actually see the value of email here. And the best KPI for that is to somehow measure that returning business number. Finally, we have the idea of publishing content to drive brand awareness. You can do that through, honestly, some vanity metrics. You have total unique visitors, traffic from organic search, and the average time that people spend on the page. We believe that there is a sweet spot in terms of how long people want to spend on a site before they decide that they're going to either fill out a lead form, subscribe to an email list, or just leave because they're not interested. We don't know what that time exactly is. We believe that the current time on site of about 2.5 minutes is a pretty good gauge. And so honestly, the best way to forward on this is just to publish more content. That is really what it comes down to with this business. And these are really the final couple takeaways here. This is where it comes together. Email marketing, need to move that to the end of the funnel. Doesn't really have a place, doesn't really have a home in the funnel as it stands right now. And when we look at email marketing in general, it's perfectly fine to use as a loyalty builder, especially because you could easily add existing customers to it. We just need to make sure that the content is reflected there. We should be seeing a higher click-through rate, a higher click rate, I should say. And when we look at clicks and opens and subscribers, we should be able to see new subscribers that have done business with Digital Detroit in the past. Two, we want to add an additional touch point. When email marketing moves to the end of the funnel, after somebody's a customer, how do you backfill that space? We believe that it takes 3 touch points at least to create a customer. And right now there's only 2 based on the map. And so an advertising touch point would be nice because it would kind of front load possible lead traffic, but then also creating a white paper with some original research that can show, again, choosing an audience here, either entry-level marketers or marketing directors, the value of upskilling and adding additional training, or social media executives and the benefits, the financial benefits, the brand benefits to being on social media. That is really where the value can be added here, because we want to add something of value here that the brand is going to be able to benefit from, get more lead generation, and honestly more leads when it comes down to it. We had an average order value last year based on leads of over $3,000, which means, one activity could potentially be a $3,000 activity. So how do we do that? How is it? How do we make that happen? Well, these first 2 points are part of it, but so too is the bottom line, that you just got to create new content. We've seen over the last 3 months that new content equals new business. And we just need to find a way to add those resources so that it's possible to create new content, whether that be on the website. And then also, how do you promote it and distribute it across social networks, email marketing, and making sure that it ranks well for search. That's the bottom line. That's my 15 minutes. And that is my presentation. So you don't have to duplicate this. You don't need to do every single thing that I just did. But you see the level of analysis that was done, the level of analysis that I put into the ADA funnel, the usage of numbers, like significant numbers. And you'll notice, I didn't put a ton of numbers in the second half of the presentation. I used numbers in the first 10 slides. And that really informed my decision-making for the slides after that, right? It drove inefficiencies, it drove new ideas, it drove KPIs. And so, I don't expect you to be able to do this level of deep thinking on this, because again, I've been doing this for my whole career, so I know how this works. But your big takeaways here are how I use numbers, how I how I was able to weave in the funnel, and also how I utilized KPIs to go along with the company's digital marketing goals. So that is the walkthrough for today. Again, your deadline is coming up here in 5 days. I've only had a couple of groups reach out to me so far. But if you have any other questions, please reach out soon, and I will see you. I hope to see your presentation and your stellar analysis soon.